You know why one man's squash and zucchini grow to the size of a baseball bat, while another man's vines pour out fruit right up to the frost, whether on a balcony or on a tiny patch of land? It's not the variety, not the weather, and not luck. I'll walk you through it step by step. How to grow squash and zucchini right anywhere, and double your harvest without a single drop of chemicals. And a deal right away: zucchini and squash are pretty much one vegetable, one and the same biology, and we grow them the same way. The difference is in one small thing, and I'll be sure to tell you about it along the way. My name is Amos Reel, a farmer from Ohio. Let's begin. Step 1. And half the harvest is decided before you even plant, in the choice of variety. For outdoors, take any sturdy variety, but into the house, onto a balcony or by a window, don't drag the huge farm varieties. A bush like that sprawls out 5 feet across, and the whole balcony won't be enough for it. Look on the packet for the label bush, patio container friendly. Ones like Spaceman or Jackpot grow into a compact little bush, yet give no fewer fruit than the garden giants. And now a little secret for doubling the harvest. Look for the word parthenocarpic. Parthenocarpic varieties, like Parthenon or Cavilli. They need no bees at all. They set fruit on their own, with no pollination whatsoever. On an ordinary bush, half the little fruits yellow and drop off, never waiting for a bee. But on this one, not a single one is lost, and so the harvest comes out twice as thick. The fruit of a parthenocarpic, moreover, has no coarse seeds inside. The flesh is tender, and even a slightly oversized fruit doesn't turn tough or bitter. Whether in an apartment where there are no bees at all or in a rainy summer outdoors, the fruit comes in like a wall. Remember that word, it'll come in handy. Step 2. When and what to plant in. Squash goes outdoors only once the soil has warmed and the nights don't drop below 60 degrees. This vegetable is scared of cold to its bones. Rush it and the seedling stalls and won't budge. You can sow straight from seed into the ground, 2 fingers deep, or to gain about 3 weeks. Raise a 2-week seedling indoors and set it out already grown a bit. Out in the garden, don't crowd them. Keep at least a yard between bushes. This glutton needs room, or crowded bushes choke each other and fall sick. At home, plant in a grow bag of 5 to 7 gallons. It costs pennies. And you can plant even in January, but only if you give the bush plenty of light. And I'll tell you more about light further on. And remember, squash needs a lot of soil. In a cramped pot, it withers and gives a couple of fruit, but in a good bag, a whole bucketful. A grow bag is also good because air reaches the root through its walls, and extra water doesn't stagnate, so the root won't rot. Just remember, this bag will take up only a scrap of space on your balcony, but soon will shrink it by half. Step 3. Light, and here squash is greedy for sun. Give it at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sun a day, or the bush stretches out pale, and the fruits will be small and sparse. Outdoors, choose the most open spot, not in the shade of a fence, and not under a tree. A couple of hours of shade a day, and you'll get half as many fruits. At home, set the bag on the sunniest south window or on an open balcony, where the day hits it at full strength. Not enough sun in the apartment, no trouble. Get a cheap grow light, an LED grow light, and light it up to 12 or 14 hours a day. The bush won't even notice the difference from a summer day. And remember it hard, light is fruit. Every extra hour of sun turns into a new flower, and every flower into a new squash in the basket. And yet, on a bush sprawled on the ground, the lower leaves are forever in shade and damp. And that's something we'll certainly deal with. But for now, step 4, watering. Ever seen how, at the hot midday, a bush suddenly droops as if scalded, its leaves hanging like rags? That's it crying out that it wants a drink. The rule here is iron, only at the root. Squash and zucchini are more than 90% water. Their leaves are huge and give off moisture like mad, so they want to drink deeply and often. A bucketful under a big bush at once, so the water goes down to the deepest roots, not just wets the top. But you must pour it strictly at the root, into the soil, and not over the leaves from a hose. Douse the bush from above, and the wet leaf under the sun instantly catches powdery mildew, that white coating as if flour were spilled, and the bush starts to fade. Better to water in the morning so the soil isn't left cold and wet by night, but a dry leaf and a well-fed root, and the plant is healthy, green, and bears without a stop. Watering is the same for zucchini and squash. They're like twins here. A healthy, unspoiled bush lives and feeds a month or two longer than a sick one. There's your extra buckets of fruit out of nothing, just for watering right. Step 5, pollination. If you did decide against the parthenocarpic varieties, or maybe already bought others, then outdoors it's no problem. But at home, this is the bush's main trouble. In an apartment there are no bees, and without them the little fruits yellow and drop off, never becoming a fruit. You'll have to play the bee yourself. At first the bush puts out only male flowers, and the beginner panics. Where's the fruit? Wait, the female ones will follow right after. Find a male flower. It's on a thin stem, with no little fruit under the petals. Pick it, or take a cotton swab, an ordinary Q-tip, and rub inside it to gather the yellow pollen. Then, with that pollen, gently dab the center of a female flower, the one with a tiny squash already sitting under its petals. Do this in the morning while the flower is fresh and open. One such touch, and the little fruit won't yellow, it'll swell into a full-grown fruit. Pollinate all the female flowers, and not one will be wasted. Step 6, harvest. And here's where the main trick of the yield hides. Everyone waits for the squash to grow bigger, figuring the larger, the more filling. But that's the costliest mistake on the bush. Every overgrown one robs you of a dozen fruits to come. Pick the fruit young, a hand's length, 6 to 8 inches, when the flower on its tip has only just wilted. Let it overgrow, and coarse seeds and tough, watery flesh set in inside. No taste at all. While the bush decides the lines carried on. No need to flower anymore, and throws all its strength into that one giant. But pick them young, every 2 or 3 days. And the bush panics, thinking the fruit is lost, and drives out new flowers wave after wave. Frequent picking of small fruit will double your harvest. The more often you cut, the more it sets. And the second secret right here, from one leaf joint, 2 or 3 fruits often push out at once. Leave strictly one, the strongest, and break off the doubles without mercy. Leave them all and the bush overstrains. The fruits grow at a crawl, and some just rot. Leave one and it swells twice as fast. You pick it sooner, and the stem right away drives a fruit higher up. And where to lead that stem next, I'll tell you now. Here it is, step 7. The one that both saves you space and gives a huge harvest of squash and zucchini. And it's the pole method. Many are used to squash sprawling across the ground and eating up 5 feet of space, while the fruit beneath it rots on the damp earth. But you lift it into a pole. Only don't run off, you don't yet know how, or you'll ruin the whole harvest. The bush shrinks into a narrow pole, and on the freed up ground beside it you plant another one. A double harvest already from a single square yard. At home, this pole is a real rescue. Instead of a bush spread across the whole balcony, a neat column about 16 inches across, and your whole balcony is free again. How to do it? As soon as the first fruit is taken from the lower tier, cut off all the leaves below it. The bush no longer spends its strength on them. Cut strictly, flush with the main stem, leaving no stubs. A hollow stub starts to rot, turns foul, and becomes an open door for fungus and pests, while a clean cut right at the trunk heals over in an instant, and the bush doesn't even fall sick. Tie the bared stem higher and higher to a strong stake or a length of rebar, and at home stick such a stake into the back right at planting, so as not to disturb the roots later. And here's the little difference between zucchini and squash. The zucchini's stem is flexible, it ties up like a charm, while the thick squash's is meatier. Tie it more gently, don't snap it, but both go up the pole all the same. A bush like that bears right up to the frost and gives 2, even 3 times more than sprawling on the ground. 0 rot, 0 fungus, no chemicals, and a lot of harvest. Tell me honestly, a squash the size of a baseball bat, the kind people brag about to the neighbors, is that a gardener's pride or just a bush wasted for nothing, one that could have fed half the street? Write in the comments. Hit like and subscribe.